I'm taking a walk here in Kanawha City, part of Charleston, West Virginia. Saturday morning, about 8:30, August 24th, I think. Yeah, August 24th. This is in Teresa and Larry's neighborhood. A good little distance from their house now, but I'm not going to take too long a walk. This is one of the nicer middle-class neighborhoods, you might say, in the area. It's one of the flat areas in West Virginia because it's in the Kanawha River, which is that way, maybe a mile. Kanawha River plain. So you got a little flat ground before you start getting up into the hills and the mountains. So it's a good place for people to build houses. Back in the, I don't know when they started building houses here. Probably goes pretty far back, this area. Early 20th century. I know there's some businesses around here on the McCorkle Avenue, the main drag through this part of town, that go back. Went to a dry cleaners yesterday that says they go back to 1915. So I guess people have been living in this area. It's called Kanawha City, but it's the actual postal address is Charleston, still Charleston, West Virginia. And there's a little recreational area up here with some ball fields and some tennis courts. A little farther down that way, they already tore up some baseball, softball fields, putting in a new type of medical center. I noticed West Virginia per capita seems to have a hell of a lot of health care facilities. Unfortunately, the people in general in West Virginia don't seem to be too healthy. They suffer from a lot of obesity, and diabetes is high here, and cancers of various sorts, probably because of the pollution from the coal industry, and along the Kanawha River became a big area for chemical companies like DuPont. Some other ones, I can't remember the names of some of the, Union Carbide. I don't think they're as active now as they used to be, but you know, a lot of the residual pollution from those industries still kind of permeates everything here. They seem to have a high level of birth defects, and I know even the people that live here kind of attribute it to those industries and their pollution, and they're such powerful forces here for so long, you know, controlling the politicians. So it was very hard to get, even though West Virginia became unionized in a lot of the industries, coal companies and those chemical companies. The heads of those companies, people that controlled those industries, still kind of controlled the politicians in West Virginia, kept them from enacting serious controls over their pollution and what they put out for a long time. I don't know if it's a little bit better now. The state used to be solid democratic state, but kind of those old yellow dog conservative Democrats, very socially conservative down here, very religious, a lot of fundamentalist churches, and so they've been voting more and more Republican, especially for president. They really went against Obama strongly in both the elections, but there's kind of no doubt that a lot of it had to do with race, because they were still voted for Democrats for president until fairly recently. Probably Clinton. I think they probably voted for Clinton both times. Heading back. Now I'm heading back towards Teresa and Larry's place. Just wanted to get a short walk in, especially since the weather turned nice like this. I've been having a lot of rain here while I was here. Some hard rains and just some hazy, drizzly days. This is a spot here where I took a photograph on an earlier walk of this tree. This area has some, this neighborhood has some huge old trees that they planted up and down some of these streets, and now they're getting so tall and top heavy, their root systems can't hold them in place. There's some more yard sales going on down there. West Virginia is big on yard sales. There are people here, not necessarily in this area, but some of the poorer areas, West Virginia. That's it's kind of their livelihood, their business. Matter of fact, I remember a few years ago they had they were having such a problem with it, because obviously the state didn't collect any taxes from it, that they were trying to start regulating it in some way. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do. Get people to have to get business licenses or something, or I guess they were watching people to see if they had yard sales every week, to where it was actually a business rather than just something you were doing to try and make a few bucks and clean your home up a little bit. I don't know if the sun shining this way may be affecting the image. This is the first time I've ever used the video feature on this camera, so I don't know how it's going to turn out. Let me get over here in the shade so the sun isn't glaring so much in the picture. But it is really nice here now. It's temperature wise and everything. And I just took a hot shower before I left. And if I was in Austin walking even at this time in the morning after taking a hot shower, I'd be sweating. It's probably only about 70 degrees now, and I don't think it ever even got to 90 while I was here. It was supposed to, but the rain came in, had a lot to do with keeping the temperature down. This is the neighborhood that Teresa's husband Larry grew up in. He didn't grow up in the house that they're living in now, but they grew up in a different house that's in the same area. Went to schools that are still being used here in the area. These are interesting places. If I was looking to move here, I would definitely like to look at these apartments. They're older, old school type apartments. Probably a little bit more interesting, got a little more age and character in them. But from the outside, it looks like, they've kept it up. You're probably not going to find the apartments inside all horrible condition and things busted up. I have a feeling that they've and keep it in fairly decent shape. But if I was have to look for an apartment in this area, that's actually been something that's been kind of discussed. Not too seriously on my part, really, but Teresa would really like us somehow to live close by each other, especially as we get older, for literally physical support eventually when it comes down to it. But honestly, I can't see living in Charleston, West Virginia. There's just so much about it here that I don't like, especially when you compare it to Austin. I'll take 105 degrees days at a time in Austin over this. It's just feel too closed in, and you have too much weather here where you have these foggy, drizzly days, which even increases that claustrophobic feeling even more. And even the areas that are a little bit better, or that aren't too bad, they just have a drab, poor feeling of sadness, and that they're past their prime, if they ever even had a prime. There's a place for rent in that building. One thing I have to say though, I can imagine the rents here would be a hell of a lot cheaper than anywhere near downtown Austin. I could probably get a decent sized 1-bedroom instead of a tiny efficiency for well less than I'm paying now in Austin. But I like Austin too much. I'm gonna stay there as long as I can, as long as feasible in different ways. You can hear the train there. Took a picture, had to take a picture of the train going by. Teresa and Larry live to the farthest edge of this community, right on the other side of the road where the train tracks run, and they come by regularly. But it is one of those things you get used to, and actually kind of like it. There's something about a train, even the noise of them when they're that close, it's endearing, comfortable. I don't know exactly what it is. Traditional, I guess you feel that gives you some kind of tie to the past. It's the kind of thing that, for better or worse, you kind of want as you get older. You want to keep some things around that have been there for a while, rather than everything changing constantly and everything being new. This is one of those kind of neighborhoods. For the most part, this neighborhood I don't think is likely to change significantly still for a long time. And in a place like downtown Austin, you can't say that. You can't say that about much in Austin, which is one of the good things about it. I think it's good to have a mixture of continuity in physical space and structures and buildings, and continuity in relationships, and then also some change. You don't have any change. It's too stagnant. You never move forward personally. But too much change, it's disorienting. Not so much when you're 20 years old. Yeah, I think I kind of remember when I was 20, I didn't really have much problem with things changing, and they didn't change nearly as rapidly back then as they do now. But it really didn't bother me that much to see things being torn down and new things being put up. It's kind of exciting. But when you get older, sometimes you realize, you know that some of the things they're tearing down have a rich history, both for the community and even sometimes for you individually, and it's sad. One thing about this neighborhood, it was before the era of those large developers that just went in and built house after house of basically with 3 different styles of houses. So they would just alternate and change the window a little bit from one to another. Cookie cutter houses. And you rarely find 2 houses in this neighborhood that are the same. Every once in a while you see a row of houses, some places that look like they were built by the same builder, but it's only a few. It's not block after block. Even where I grew up, it was built in the 50s. In Rockville, Maryland, our neighborhood was like that. Except the houses were tiny then compared to what people think of as middle-class suburban housing now. Almost people would look at the kind of houses of the neighborhood I grew up in. It's almost lower class, or very low middle class housing these days. They just don't have the huge square footage, and, all like. Good morning. So I'm heading down 44th Street, kind of done my loop. This is on the way back to Teresa and Larry's house down there at the corner. You can see it's pretty in some ways. I mean, you have a lot more green here. The trees grow. It's common for the trees, to have huge trees here. In Austin, you have the rare big tree every once in a while, but just don't have the rainfall to support a whole lot of big trees. And obviously the lawns, they don't have to water these lawns constantly to keep them alive like you do in Austin. Well, there's Teresa and Larry's house coming up. That's her Uncle Ken's truck that we've borrowed. So they don't have a vehicle, which is kind of a handicap for them, but they're getting along. They're buying the house now. It's Larry's parents' house, but they're finally buying it. And so I'll end this now. I got to go back in and continue to. There's some Buddhas, maybe. I know the one down there looks like a Buddha. I don't know, but the tall one. Oriental figures. Larry's father was over in the Pacific Theater in World War II. So it's time for me to go inside and continue to get ready to leave. I got to leave tonight at about 5. My last day in Charleston, probably this year. Probably won't be able to come back and visit them at Christmas, which I have done a few times in the past few years. Come here twice, but probably not this year. Wasn't even Didn't even think I was going to be able to make it here for this trip. All right, bye.